All right, peace and much love. Zin Uru here. Welcome to the latest installment of Message from the Minista. This week's message from the Minista is endurance is insurance. Endurance is insurance. We're going to be talking about what it means to endure, what the word endurance actually means, and putting into our practical day-to-day living. And also, as we look to the future, preparing ourselves for the endurance as we grow into the future. We'll also be talking about preservation this week, and we're also going to be talking about perseverance. Perseverance is to me, it's a higher form of endurance, but endurance is really important to talk about. And as I was making this message from the minister this week, I realized that I had done a message on endurance before, but it wasn't entitled Endurance. So we'll probably be covering things that we've covered over in the past, but they say repetition is the mother of skills. And so it's so important that we repeat the certain actions of our success, especially when it comes to spiritual living. When we repeat those patterns of success that we've had in life, we are going to experience and reap the benefits of that success we've had in life over and over again. That's where wisdom comes in. And especially as we grow older and we see that the decisions, the positive decisions that we made when we were younger, those decisions that we made that help our physical body as we've gotten older, that we can look back and take that wisdom and glean something from that, because that is part of endurance. If endurance wasn't part of my life, I wouldn't be here right now. I think about, and I say this because I know that you too have had to endure through your life. I know that you too have had to persevere through your life. And so as I'm talking, I may be talking from the I and me point of perspective, but really what I'm talking about is from the us and the we perspective. This is something we are going through. We have to go through a collective endurance process. We have to persevere collectively as a hip hop community, as the greater earth community at large. And so as we're looking into these this week, we're going to get into some discipline. We're going to be talking about discipline. We've got some quotes from Bruce Lee this week. Going to be reading from Lao Tzu, the Tao Te Ching, and also a section from The Seasons, Overstanding in the Gospel of Hip Hop. So let us begin. Thank you all for being here. It's so great to see all of you here. Just more people are coming in right now. And I just, from my heart to your heart, from this soul in this time and space to your soul in your time and space, we all share the same mind. There is no such thing as time and space and spirit. We are all together in this time and this space right here, right now. And what a miracle that is, what a miracle that is. And I'm gonna do something right now, because we're gonna start light. We're gonna start light. It's a profound experience this week, light and light. Something's light and light, the light that comes and the light that travels, and we are the light. And so this week I was thinking, if you feel it, wherever you're at time and space, just kind of put that right hand up like this. And we just focusing it on this space right here in front of my hand, and everybody else's hands across time and space, 200 years in the future, 3,000 miles away, and everything and anything in between, and even further. There's this space right in front of my palm, and I can feel the energy. And as you're concentrating on it and you're putting your hand up there, put that space right there, okay? Put that into that ball of energy. And what that ball of energy is actual surplus of endurance, an infinite surplus of endurance. So just at the count of three, we're going to say, I'm just sending an infinite surplus of endurance from an infinite storehouse. So an infinite surplus of endurance from an infinite storehouse. See, this ball, this energy ball, this endurance ball of infinite endurance, This ball, this energy, it doesn't come from each of our energy field. It comes from this infinite storehouse of energy all around us. And so as this ball is getting bigger and bigger, I'm going to take this ball now, okay, of energy. And you visualize this with me. And we take this ball of energy and we just kind of make it smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and more dense. And this is an infinite supply of endurance. And wow. One of these is ready. Let's see. We'll use the small one since it's arced. We're going to take this infinite supply of endurance, okay, and we're going to put it into this crystal right here, okay. And then we're going to take that crystal. I'm going to show you all that crystal, that arc crystal. This thing will live longer than any of us, right? This is incredible. And so this crystal right here. Anytime you think of that crystal, anytime you visualize this crystal right here, let's put that crystal up close. Anytime you visualize the endurance crystal, this is the endurance crystal. And visualize that endurance crystal. Anytime you have a hardship in life, anytime that you need endurance, anytime you're feeling a certain way about the future, you're not so sure about the future, take that endurance, take that ball of energy, that infinite endurance, and realize that when we are enduring through something, when we are using our spiritual gift and our strength of endurance, that while we are doing that, there is no goal to get to. Let go of the goal. That goal is attachment. And when we let go of the goal and we realize that the endurance itself, if there is a goal, the endurance itself is the goal. The being and the endurance and the perseverance. It's a daily practice because we are living a life, and we are living a life that we ultimately know we are going to leave this body and we're going to live in another time and space and dimension. And this body is going to go back into the earth from which it came. It's going to deteriorate. The water is going to evaporate out of this body. And I don't like the word death. You know, I just, it's a colonizer's word. It's a colonizer's concept. It's a complete travesty of what the word or what the experience of leaving the earth plane is actually all about. See, they've made us fear something that doesn't need to be feared. You know, the Grim Reaper and death and just the so-called like the graveyard and all these things that you know, in Western culture and Western society we associate with leaving this body behind. But when we endure through this life, as we endure in this life, we're going to ultimately experience one day the evaporation of our water body into the ethers. Our consciousness is going to be in another time and space and in a different form. And what a miracle that is. What an actual miracle that is to conceive. And I've said it before, and I just want to reiterate this, is that those who are afraid of death are afraid of living. And so many decisions are based upon the fear of so-called death. If someone is afraid of the so-called death, they are easier to manipulate. You know, this is how the powers that want to be operate. This is how the so-called elite have been operating. You know, the fear of death, and they use religion, they use warfare, they use media, they use manipulation, they use lying, they use deceit, they use coercion, they use propaganda, they use extortion. You know, they use all of these things to their favor. And the way that they're able to do that is, hey, we got the bigger guns, we can shoot you to death. Oh, well, you might go homeless and die out on the streets. So, you know, this idea of death should not be feared because it is an illusion. Death is an illusion. Nothing ever dies. Everything is transformed. Some things are recycled. You know, a good friend of mine, calls reincarnation recycling. You know, there's a lot of souls that are just like in the recycling bin, constantly recycling. But this is a deeper lesson about endurance because we should be visualizing in this earth plane. I'll fix my microphone here. I see it moved up. We should be visualizing while we're here on this earth plane, like leaving this body and retaining the certain memories, retaining certain frequency vibrations, retaining certain feelings inside, the warm heart, the love, the truth, the freedom, God. You know, I had an experience a couple of years ago where I was coming out of, I had a hernia injury for 7 years. I lived with this pain, this 7 years of this hernia, right? And I was just torturing myself through it. I've dealt with myself on that level of why did I feel it was necessary to live 7 years with this this hernia that was causing immense pain and draining my concentration, draining a lot of my vital life force energy. And so I remember I get this surgery and they put you under, right? And so the woman, the nurse, she puts the, you know, the thing to the arm, and as I'm getting all that, morphine or whatever it is, it wasn't morphine, but I was blacking out. They said count backwards from 10, and I was like 10, 9, 8. I was gone. and I remember coming to, and like 4 hours had passed. And I didn't realize 4 hours had passed. It was just like, boom, I was waking up. But as I was coming in, I was coming back into the body as I was waking up from that. I had loops in my head saying different things like, be still and know that God is God. I am peace. I am love. I am joy. I am perfection. God is my great Father. God is the Mother. God is guiding my direction. My home is in God. And I was saying these things as I was coming back into this reality. And then I started speaking them out to the nurse. I started talking about God and that we are all in the warmth of God, that we are all energetic, vibrational frequency, word, sound, vibration of the Most High God. And so I'm saying this to the nurse, and she's like, uh-huh. And then I finally come back into consciousness after saying these words through the unconscious. And I was like, oh, I was like, wait, are we going to have the surgery? And she's like, you've already been out. You came back. And I was like, word. I said, how long have I been preaching? She goes, oh, like 20, 30 seconds. And I was like, word. So I was just sitting there preaching in an unconscious state of being, you know. And I sit there and I think about all the times of endurance, of all, like when the demons try and get you, you know, they're energetic demons. We'll talk about energetic vampires, because this is really where the endurance that I wanted to talk about is. We can talk about the body's physical endurance. We can even talk about the mind through affirmations and the ability to endure by giving the mind strength and empowerment. But in the soul, in the spirit, like there are literally energetic vampires and so-called energetic demons from other people, from our environment, even at times created by ourselves, that are constantly trying to eat our vital life force soul energy. We feel it when we have anxiety. We feel it when we have depression. We feel it when we have doubt. We feel it when we have fear. And not to say that all of those things are demonic in and of themselves, or that you are under demonic attack, but realize what it is. It's an outside energy that's trying to enter in and eat away our vital life energetic force. This is what happens. That's why people say, you know, it ate him alive. It was just eating him alive, what he had done. And a lot of that can come from guilt, being guilty about things you've said or guilty about things we've done. It can be self-imposed guilt, where we're feeling guilty about not living up to the standards of the oppressor, right? People walking around feeling depressed and guilty because they're not living up to the standards of the oppressor. They don't have the boats, they don't have the cars, they don't have the homes, they don't have the nations, they don't have all of these things, you know, because, oh, if I could just get better, I could live up to the standards of the oppressor, and then I would experience what they're telling me I would experience, you know? When people are walking around feeling guilty about their childhood, like feeling guilty about the way that somebody treated them as a child, guilty about not being good enough, guilty about being too good, Overachievers, they go through their own form of guilt because they see other people underachieving, and then they go and feel guilty about, oh man, I feel bad because I'm looking down on people. I feel bad because am I different? Am I messed up? Because I'm always just, is there something more to life? You know, I've met so many overachievers who like, is there something more to life than just achieving things and gaining things and getting things and accomplishments? And there's something to be said in the world of accomplishment and creating something and making something into reality. That's not what I'm talking about. But see, so many people will feel guilty and either not take the time to create what it is that their purpose is asking them to create, or people will feel guilty when they are taking the time. You know, guilt is a demon. It eats away at our energy. And when you feel guilty, recognize what it is. Say, this is an energetic vampire trying to suck my energetic blood. I'm Blade. I got the sword, I got the holy water, I got the garlic, I got the cross, whatever, you know. I mean, I'm just being funny there, but like for real, when them demons come to attack you, you've got superpowers, you've got super energetic vibrational frequencies, and when you recognize that that's what it is, it's not the thoughts that are happening. It's not the thoughts that are happening that are causing the energetic, eating away. It's the actual energy that's being vamped upon and eating. You can literally have the same thoughts without the energy vampire eating from the energy. So see it for what it is. See, you can have the thoughts of like, man, I fucked up. Okay, as an example, man, I fucked up. I was like, my mouth was running. I said some shit I didn't need to say. I lost my temper a little bit there. But you can do all of that without feeling guilty. You can go through the process. We can go through the process of growth. We can grow through the process of wisdom and understanding. We can grow through those processes without internalizing the energy and squeezing that energy inside of us while these demonic forces are trying to eat our vital life force energy through the feelings of guilt or desperation or fear or all of those things. So this is why it's so important to have control over thoughts and what one's thinking. When you realize that, that's an energy vampire coming from somebody else, or that energy vampire is something coming from me. This is something I learned from Thoth, in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, where I got my name Zin Uru from. Zin Uru. I'll actually read the text sometime in the future, but he says that when you feel that feeling of darkness come in, when you feel that feeling of something sucking your energy, and it's energy vampiring you, send a wave from the center of your head and top of your body down to your feet, and just ask the question, is this coming from me or an outside source, right? And as you send that wave down, you're going to have an answer. It's coming from me or it's coming from an outside source. If it's coming from an outside source, just send wave after wave after wave until it's gone. And you just visualize until it gets to the point, if you put this into practice, like the energy will come, and you just realize, you just go and if you're very wise, those who are very wise will retain the thought to some degree and deal with what the thought is, because that's what comes from us. It's the thinking. Okay, we've dealt with the energy vampire coming from other people. People will send their demons at you. You can have dealt with all of the demons in your life, and other people will send their demons at you. Mostly out of ignorance, but also out of spite, out of childishness, out of immaturity, out of so many different things. So when you what you're doing is creating a counter frequency that just dissipates that energy, because remember, we vibrate with truth and love at a higher frequency and at a higher love. Therefore, those are inferior, lower vibrations when they come to us. When we hit our light vibration, when we hit our sound frequencies, they're superior, stronger frequencies that literally just and they wave out, and then that energetic that is attacking us. And those energies can come from television, they can come from the fear in the media, they can come from fear of childhood, they can come from all kinds of fear, wherever fear comes from. wherever, all depression is a form of fear. Anxiety is a form of fear. All of these things are basically just different words for fear. And when that fear energy tries to come in, and then think about it, what was I thinking for that moment that brought that fear energy in? Well, I was thinking I wouldn't have enough money next week and I was going to starve to death. See how death kind of sneaks its way in there? So-called death tries to sneak its way in there through fear. But you've taken that time now and your body's not feeling that anxiety. If our body doesn't feel that anxiety, we can think so much more clear, and we can allow our mind to just go through the logical process of the mind. We can still feel things as well. Keep the feeling, but then our like feeling isn't, I'm getting eaten alive. It's, I'm expanding and thriving because I'm creating an auric field around my body that is sustainable to the spirit and to life itself. And there's not a lot of people who can do this because the world is run by fear in every nation, in every country, everywhere around the world. They're doing my people wrong. They're doing us wrong on this earth right now. And the only reason they're able to do us wrong is because they have lied to us about who we are. We've accepted the lie of who we are. We've accepted the lie of who they say we are. And we've denied the truth of our own being, that we are born with our intuitive knowledge, our inner being. We know who we are. Rise up, my nobility. But this is where endurance comes in. This is what insurance, the endurance of endurance is insurance, comes in. Because it takes time to endure and learn how to resonate at a frequency, a God frequency, a Christ frequency. It takes time to resonate at hip-hop frequency, to be hip to one's hop, to know why one is moving, and really know why one is saying what one is saying, and why what one is doing, why they are doing it. To really know that, to really be hip to one's hop, to really be aware and tuned into one's actual spiritual life force energy. It takes endurance because the cells, the bones, everything has to vibrate a little faster. You have to eat a little different because the body wants to vibrate faster, and it's a step. This is the endurance. It's a step by step. You don't go from here to here. There's space between there. There's a lot of space and time between there. Although I say every week, time and space is an illusion in spirit, we are living spirit beings having this temporal experience in a human body. What a miracle that is. So when I say time, we do know what time and space is. Don't outthink ourselves, I see too many metaphysicians completely outthink themselves. Just outthink themselves out of the fun of life and really about the intricacies of life, because we see that there is a future, and we know that the future is coming, that the future is certain. Whether it's in this body or out of this body, feel me? So if we can prepare, if the 48-year-old me can prepare for the 57-year-old me, shout out 57-year-old Zin Uru, I see you, I feel you, I'm taking care of you right now, my nobility. That 57-year-old version of me is communicating back to me right now saying, endure, persevere, keep going. Watch what God does in the future. Allow God to happen, right? And so for me, how I feel inside becomes my most sovereign responsibility. Okay? Because when I feel empowered, I'm able to help and empower others. I'm able to go through other situations prepared. So I'm at peace when the car accident happens. I'm focused when life tries to turn its tables and move and shift things around. Not becoming attached to the moment, because I know that endurance works. And I'm saying I know this, but we know that endurance works. We know that perseverance works. Think of how many times in your life you've had to endure, you've had to persevere just to be where you are now. I know that anybody who's watching Message from the Minister has gone through it. Like every single one of us who watches this Message from the Minister, every single one of you who watches this has gone through some bullshit in your life. How do I know? Because I ask everybody I know who doesn't go through bullshit. Is there like some secret group of organization that doesn't go through bullshit? Well, there might be one secret group of organization that creates more bullshit for us. But once again, that's life's way of allowing us to experience that as we endure through the so-called Illuminati, as we endure through the so-called New World Order, as we endure through this Judgment Day, as we endure through this, we're going to come out stronger and better on the other end. This is a valuable lesson that we are learning collectively right now. Let's go with the definitions of endurance while we're talking about it. And I'll put it up on the screen here. And we'll look at endurance and enduring first. And then I want to talk about, there's a couple, insurance. It's kind of a funny definition while we read insurance, and also perseverance as well. So endurance. Okay, well, let's read endure first. Just you can see it up there. Just go to endure first, because they're going to say to go see endurance. So to endure is to carry on through despite hardships. Undergo, right? To carry on through despite hardships. That's endurance. And we're gonna, any human being worth their salt in life is going to have to go through some hardships, because this is a school. This is a class. We are learning something here on earth. And the hardships are what make us stronger. The hardships create the greatest lessons and bring the wisdom and show us the value of love and all of the great things that come through endurance. To carry on through despite hardships. To bear with tolerance. That's another one. That's patience right there. To bear with tolerance, especially when we're dealing with people or circumstances that are beyond our control and don't have our best interest in mind. Remember, God is in control. God has our best interest in mind. So bear it with tolerance. When somebody is out of line, bear it with tolerance. Be the bigger person. Perform patience and discipline in that situation. Synonymous with bear, to bear a burden, to bear a weight, to continue in existence, to last, to suffer patiently without yielding, to suffer patiently without yielding. That's a distance runner right there. Have you ever tried running for 2 miles? I mean, I know I have. I ran the 2 mile a few times, and I suffered patiently without yielding, just to get done at the fastest time I could when I was young, and that is to endure. And athletes, all the great athletes have to endure through hardships. They have to endure and suffer patiently. The high level anything, you have to suffer patiently. There is suffering involved while you're waiting for the right season to kick in, or you're waiting to record your first album, or you're waiting to for a certain kind of event. There's going to be some kind of suffering involved in that. But the suffering, it's like lifting weights. No pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. There used to be shirts back in the 80s of a guy with all these muscles, and it said, no pain, no gain. And let's look at the word endurance now. The act, quality, or power of withstanding hardship or stress. The state or fact of persevering. There's the word perseverance right there. So endurance is the state or fact of persevering. While you are persevering, you are enduring. See how that works? The state or fact of persevering. So I am persevering. You're going to see that perseverance is a little different word. To me, it's a little higher level of looking at what endurance is. But without the endurance, you wouldn't have perseverance. So what this says to me, the state or fact of persevering, is that perseverance contains endurance. Now, certain things or certain people may endure for a certain time, but they won't persevere. And we're going to see what that means. Continuing existence, duration, often used to modify another noun. Endurance events, endurance swimmers. See how that, there's the endurance athletes, the triathlon, those are endurance competitions. Enduring, lasting, continuous, durable, long-suffering, patient. Long-suffering and patience. It says that in the book of Revelations, during the rise of the beast empire and the mark of the beast, it says this calls for long-suffering and patience of the saints, and long endurance of the saints is what it says. I don't have the verse in front of me, but the way to survive Armageddon, the Bible says in Revelations, is through endurance, right? And so let's take endurance, and we're going to go right to persevere. Okay, I do insurance, but insurance is kind of funny the way they do that, and I think you can already guess why. But this is why I say persevere. It's just a little bit that the endurance is contained in perseverance. Okay. Persevere, to persist in or remain constant to a purpose. Okay? To persist in or remain constant to a purpose. See, because not all times are going to be hard. Like the hardship, the things that, the suffering, those type of things are what requires endurance. But perseverance is also required during the good times, when things are going your way. It's important to persevere and stay the course and stay the goal, because good times can make soft men. Good times can create soft women. Good times can get your eye off of the focus of what it really needs to be on. So hard times and easy times can both equally knock somebody off their course, and they can both equally keep somebody focused when done in the right way. This is where meditation and practice and discipline comes in. Persevere, to persist in or remain constant to a purpose, an idea, or a task in the face of obstacles or discouragement. Okay, so see, that's where they're bringing in the endurance right there on the second half of this. Or a task in the face of obstacles or discouragement. But see, when you see that good times can be just as much of an obstacle to overcome as hard times, you'll see that there's a deeper level of understanding beyond what the American Heritage Dictionary is saying here. And this is coming from an understanding of metaphysics, and it coming from my personal understanding of what it means and my personal experience and overstanding of what it means to persevere and endure. Perseverance. See, check it out. This is perseverance right here. Steady persistence in adhering to a course of action, a belief, or a purpose. Steadfastness. Okay, see right there, this is where endurance is contained in perseverance. But when you're persevering, you're not always having to endure, because perseverance is steady persistence in adhering to a course of action, a belief, or a purpose. Steadfastness. See, so you can be moving along and driving on a long distance trip, and you just had a good night's sleep, and you're on the road and you're driving and you're making good time and you're focused on the destination. That's perseverance. But then the rain comes and it's raining and you got to grip the wheel tighter and you can't see as far in front of you and it's dark and you're trying to find the hotel where you're going to stop at night. That's endurance. They're both, perseverance is the entire journey. Endurance is where it gets tough and you've really got to push through. But perseverance is just a steady persistence in adhering to a course of action, a belief, or a purpose. Steadfastness. And in theology, the Calvinistic doctrine, John Calvin was one of the Christian Reformationists in European history. John Calvin was one of the Christian reformers who went against the Catholic Church and created the Protestant movement. He's an early pioneer in the Protestant movement. The Calvinistic doctrine that those who have been chosen by God will continue in a state of grace to the end and will finally be saved. I think a lot of us feel that way, right? I think a lot of us feel that way about God while we're here on earth. And it's what is to be saved? Because God saves me all the time. So finally be saved. I don't know if after we leave this body that we're finally saved from everything, like, because there's going to be other experiences. Trust me, my nobility, this is not the end. This is just this part of the journey right here. This is part of the perseverance. This lifetime that we each get to live here is just part of the perseverance. And so I get saved by God all the time. So John Calvin, shout out for that, because this is a very profound thought when it comes to God, that those who have been chosen by God will continue in a state of grace to the end and will finally be saved. Well, saved from ourselves, right? Saved from each other. But perseverance, yeah, that's what perseverance. So see the difference between perseverance and endurance. And let's see. Do I got insurance? Maybe I didn't even grab it. Oh, there it is. Insurance. Now, insurance. There's only one definition, or a couple of them here, that I really want to talk about. But let's read it all, because insurance, they're talking about insurance companies, insuring oneself. And we're talking about endurance is insurance. So yeah, in that way of looking at it symbolically, yeah, it is your coverage. The act, business of a system of insuring. See? So endurance is insurance. I'm going to read something from Bruce Lee here in a minute, and we're going to get into a little deeper of what it means, what the insurance is. But what the insurance is it's the state of being insured. Insure, to cover with insurance, to make sure, certain, or secure. To make sure, certain, or secure. Well, I want to make sure and be certain that my future is secure, because my body is healthy, loving, aware, and wealthy, because my body is vibrating at the Spirit of God. My body and my mind and my soul are in alignment with God. That's how I'm going to be insured, to make sure, certain, and secure of that. So that's what it means to insure, or to buy or sell insurance, right? Insurance, the act or business of a system insuring. 1B, the state of being insured. 1C, a means of being insured. Wow, what fascinating language, huh? Definition number 2A, coverage by a contract binding a party to indemnify another against specified loss in return for premiums paid. We'll get to that in a minute, because I've been dealing, I don't know if you all remember, but a couple weeks ago there was a hit and run I was involved in, and I ran. I'm just playing. I was in a parking lot. Some guy backed into me hard. He was going fast, and he just sped off. So I'm dealing with the insurance company, which is what they're talking about right there. 2B, the sum or rate from which such a contract insures something. Yep. The periodic premium paid for this coverage. Yep. Going through that. A protective measure. Okay, right here. Insurance. This is the definition of endurance, is insurance. We talk about endurance is pushing through, even through suffering. We've talked about perseverance even too. These are protective measures to protect your future self, okay? Of relating to, or and this is in sports, of relating to or being a score that increases the team's lead enough to prevent the opposing team from tying the game with one or more score. Yeah, insurance runs, like they call that in baseball. Like you got a 1-run lead. Well, you want a few more insurance runs. You want, a 5-run lead. You got a 5-run insurance lead in a baseball game. So think about that in sports and in competition, like too, as endurance is insurance. It's like auto insurance, right? This is where the divine performance comes in, or perform discipline specifically, eating healthy, exercising regularly, meditating, clearing out, performing forgiveness, these type of things, being hip to one's hop. Being hip to one's hop, that's a form of insurance. And so while we're moving ahead in life, we want to have some kind of insurance that, like, hey, by the time I'm 50, I want to make sure that I don't have heart issues. So I'm gonna I'm going to cut out the acidic foods. I'm going to cut out all the acidic foods I'm eating. I'm going to eat more alkaline-rich foods because I want to ensure that I'm going to not have heart problems. Or I want to ensure that I got good blood flow, so I'm going to go out and walk for 20 minutes a day. Or I want to make sure that I can stand up straight, so I'm gonna practice my posture today, or do my push-ups today, or there's so many things that go into that discipline. But that's also the discipline of thinking, and thinking right thoughts, and feeling right feelings, studying right studies. Here's a quote from Bruce Lee though that's going to talk about this. And I had to write this one down. I read this a while ago, and I just have this on my computer that I look at in my notes. And Bruce Lee says, endurance is lost rapidly if one ceases to work on maintenance. Endurance is lost rapidly if one ceases to work on maintenance. Okay? So we have to continue. This is the perseverance, is to continuously work on the maintenance and the upkeep. If you want your car to endure a long road trip, you need to make sure it's got good oil in it. You need to make sure the filters are changed. You got to make sure that the spark plugs have been changed at the right time. You got to make sure that the wheels are aligned, that they've been rotated, that your tire pressure is right, that there's so many little things. But that constant maintenance of the car is going to give to its longevity, and it's going to allow it to endure a long distance or a long time. Same thing with the human body, right? The constant maintenance, the day-to-day, what he says, endurance is lost rapidly if one ceases to work on maintenance. So if somebody doesn't maintain their car, the endurance of that car is going to decrease rapidly. Same with the body. It decreases rapidly if we're not constantly doing it, if we're not in a state of discipline. So I have these five, I call them the 5 principles of preservation. It's a book I'm working on called The 5 Principles of Preservation. It's not going to be a long book, but it's called The 5 Principles of Preservation. And, endurance is lost rapidly if one ceases to work on maintenance. Well, the first principle is preparation. We're preparing ourselves. We're preparing our environment. We're preparing our mind. We're preparing our hearts. We're preparing ourselves through prayer, through exercise. This is the preparation of endurance. When we want to endure something, we have to be prepared. That is maintenance. That, my nobility, is preservation. How do we preserve hip-hop? By preserving the hip-hoppa. Perseverance, preservation are almost the same words. It's with the preservation, perseverance. They're just words that are like anagrams of each other. Perseverance, preservation, right? We can see them within one another. So when we're preserving the hipapa, preservation requires endurance. Preservation requires persistence. Preparation is number 1. Endurance is lost rapidly. Well, what the 5 principles of perseverance? Preparation. Get yourself prepared. Stay prepared. Get yourself prepared and stay prepared. If you're not prepared for the event, you can't prepare for the event while the event's happening. You have to prepare ahead of time. We all have to do it. It's the physics of nature. It's the physics of reality. We have to be prepared for the days to come. Are you really prepared for the days to come? I've asked that question on every album. I think almost every album I asked one time, are you really prepared for the days to come? Number 1, preparation. Number 2, discipline. We've got to be disciplined to be prepared. The discipline is the preparation. The discipline is the maintenance. Discipline is part of perseverance. I know I've given this lesson before on an early message from the Minista. I came across these notes while I was looking at the other notes I was taking this week, and wow, patience. This persevering and endurance makes these videos possible every week. Patience is number 3. So we have preparation, discipline, and patience. Perform patience. There's a whole message from the Minista. There's a whole perform patience in the gospel of hip hop. We know what patience is. Perform patience. Number 4, focus. We have to focus on our goals. We have to focus on the future. We have to focus on what it is we're preparing. We have to focus on what we're maintaining. We have to focus on what we are disciplining. And that is part of the endurance. That is part of the perseverance, is our focus. Our focus remains as we know where we're getting to from point A to point B on that long drive that we talked about earlier. It's going to take focus to get from California to New York. It takes focus. Consistency is number 5. Preparation, number 1, preparation. Number 2, discipline. Number 3, patience. Number 4, focus. Number 5, consistency. Being consistent. Consistency, like a cake. Like the consistency of a cake. It's got to bake in the oven. If it bakes too long, it gets chewy and crunchy. If it doesn't bake long enough, it's gooey and icky. It doesn't have the right consistency. So consistency is something very interesting. Being consistent with ourselves doesn't mean we overdo it all the time. But it also doesn't mean that we slack either. It's being consistent with our devotion, being consistent with our discipline, being consistent with our healthy habits. 5 principles of preservation. That's included in endurance is insurance. Now I was talking about this, going through this with the insurance company, and I'm gonna bring us back to endurance as insurance, because what we're gonna have to endure through all this is our humanity is what has to endure. And the idea that anything is happening quicker because of computers and phones is a lie and a fallacy, because I remember a time before instant gratification, phone gratification, and instant answers on the phone. I remember a time before that where it didn't exist. I didn't have a phone on me, and neither did the other driver. We didn't have cell phones. And I got in a car wreck, right? I'm 48. I go way back. Got in a car wreck. I wasn't the one driving. A friend of mine driving. Boom, his car gets wrecked. And so he pulls over, and somebody flags down an officer or calls an officer from a payphone. We wait, the officer shows up, and we waited a good amount of time for the officer to show up. Officer shows up, writes up the thing, gives it to us. We call the insurance company when we get home. And then they send an estimator out the next day or the next few days. They take an estimate on the insurance, and then they do a write-up. They work with the body shop. He got it towed to a body shop, and within a week he had an answer on his insurance. They had diagnosed the problem, had an answer, and his insurance was already in the process. In a week, he had already settled with what was happening. It was like 10 days from the time of the accident to the time he had a check in his hand. This is back in like 1993, okay? Now here it is in 2002, and I've got my insurance company on lock. I called them up on the phone and said the lady had already called the police, so he's supposed to be on his way. I waited longer for the police, even though we're all connected. We're all connected, right? We're all connected. We were all connected before cellular technology. This cellular technology, I'm telling you, my nobility, is making us more disconnected, and you better wake up to that fact. Better wake up to that fact. They're disconnecting us from our humanity, and this is what we have to endure through. And I know I just got passionate there, but this is my passion. This is frustration channeled into passion, because I was frustrated this last week as it's 2 weeks have gone by since the accident, and they still don't know everything that's wrong with the car. The body shop, I've talked to 5 or 6 different insurance agents. I can't get the one who says they're going to help me and be the go-to person on the phone consistently, even though I have their number. It's ridiculous the way. And so they're passing it around, and then they're sending me, you take pictures of your car, this will speed up the process. Why don't you just have an insurance claim agent come out, take pictures of the car, look at the damage, because he's an expert on that. Get with the body shop and then figure it out. They're the experts, right? No, I got to sit there and be an expert photographer now. And then that takes 2 days because the photos didn't come out the way they were asking for it. And so it's this long process that they're saying that this technology is supposed to speed things up, but it's making it slower. It's taking the human element out of it. And technology is an inferior vibration to human frequency. This phone, this camera I'm speaking to is inferior to my natural organic biorhythmic energy. Inferior in every way, shape, and form. I am superior. We are superior to technology in every way, shape, or form. I'm not saying technology is not useful. I'm not saying it's not even fun at times, but keep it in perspective. You are superior to your phone. Your brain and mind is superior to the internet in every way, shape, and form. So I detected the fallacy that we all detect in this technological disaster that they're trying to create and force us into. And they're saying, oh, this is better this way. We're doing virtual things now. You know, the guy's got a virtual Zoom meeting. So the insurance, instead of just sending a guy out from the local office to look at the thing like an expert would do, he's sitting there in an office trying to look at a camera, lighting. I mean, are these guys professional photographers to get the right angle to decide what's wrong with the car? So they're supposed to be saving time and speeding up the process and making life easier on us, and they're making life harder on us, and every single one of us is experiencing it. And if you're not experiencing that technology is draining our humanity, wake up. Technology is draining the soul out of humanity on a daily basis. We're experiencing it, and we have to endure past this. We have to endure through this. There will be a post-technology age for humanity. It's physics. Everything that has a beginning has an end. Technology has a beginning. Technology will have an end. Okay? Well, life has no beginning and no ending. Technology is just a temporary construct of life. AI, which is running things. AI. You wonder how the world governments are all working and having the same agenda? There's no human mind figuring this shit out. There's no group of humans figuring this shit out. It's an AI computer system is the only logical explanation. It's Occam's razor. You look at what is happening in the world right now and the way that the New World Order is working. It is AI. And only those countries and people who have the audacity and the empowerment to stand up against the AI system. They'll be assisted by God. But those world leaders, we're going to watch them fall rapidly when God decides it's time. But they're listening to an AI computer. I know this. I've seen it in visions. I felt it through meditation. That's how all of this thing is happening so fast, and this takeover is happening so fast and so rapidly. Of our humanity. Now, it's been designed by people. It's been brought forward by people. It didn't have to be this way because those groups that think that they own and run humanity, those colonizers, are trying to funnel our energy in a certain way through the manipulation and the false use of technology. And technology, I'm talking about electronic technology, right? That crystal, this is technology right here. This is technology. I'm not talking about this technology. Making a book requires a certain level of technology. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Internet of Things, the smart devices, all of that technology. The interface, trying to interface our DNA. Okay? The 5G towers, that. They're temporary because they have a beginning, they will have an end. And we've got to endure through this technological atrocity because it's just getting started, right? Now I pray, I hope that we all just wake up just like that tomorrow and just be done with it. But we know that's not going to, if it happens, great. Never say never, right? But I say never all the time. That ain't going to happen. So we've got to endure through something. We've got to endure through the future that's coming. And how do we endure? Well, we empower ourselves. We empower those in our immediate environment to the best of our abilities. Empower our children. Empower our brothers and our sisters. and our husbands and wives and our moms and fathers and grandmothers and grandpas and spouses and engagements and cousins and nephews and those who we can empower. But if they ain't down with that, hey, we have to be the ones who endure. And how much can you endure if somebody is pulling you back or holding you back? Okay? And endurance can be carrying others with us too, right? We're not cold-hearted sociopaths. Like, others need to come with us. We are going to the promised land. Not I'm going to the promised land. We are going to the promised land, to the promised land. I hope you are ready. I hope you are ready. We are going to the promised land, my nobility. But to get there, we have to endure. Did the Israelites have to endure the desert? Yes, they did. Did Christ have to endure the cross? Yes, he did. Did Buddha have to endure countless hours of fasting and meditation and being still and just sitting there? To attain his enlightenment, Buddha had to endure. Arjuna had to persevere through his own fears and doubts and sadness and of what he was facing when he was going to war with his own members of his own family, with his own family. His family was going to war with itself. And Arjuna had to endure and persevere to see the vision that Lord Krishna was giving him. Martin Luther King had to endure. 17 times he was arrested. He had to endure. Bob Marley had to endure rigorous touring and threats and attempted assassinations on his life. The Christ must endure. Feel that, my nobility. The Christ must endure. You are the light of your world. Christ is the light. You are the light of your world. The light of your world, you must endure. That is the insurance. That's the insurance right there. Our endurance will ensure that we will not only survive this technological atrocity that's trying to eat the human soul, but we will thrive while it's happening and beyond. Do you see it, my nobility? Can you feel it, my nobility? I know I can. Let's read from, I'm going to close with the Tao Te Ching tonight, but let's read from the Gospel of Hip Hop. This is a part of the deeper study about endurance, because endurance has to do with the seasons, knowing what season you're on in life, and really more perseverance, really. The endurance is to endure through the rainy and cold seasons. You know, if you're somebody's farming and growing food, they want to endure through the rainy and cold seasons, and they want to persevere through the warm seasons. You know, the perseverance is that discipline. But this is the seasons overstanding on page 314 in the Gospel of Hip Hop, written by the teacher KRS-One for the Temple of Hip Hop. The sixth overstanding, the seasons. Peace and much love to all future hip-hoppers. Rejoice, for we are truly blessed people. Do not be discouraged or depressed by the criticisms of the world, for ignorance is always bold and certain. However, ignorance is also temporary. For it is better to be fresh in the sight of your God and whack to the world than to be fresh in the sight of the world and whack to your God. For the same world that hails you up in praise is the same world that can tear you down in judgment. Check out what's happening to the nurses and the doctors who don't want the COVID vaccine through their own experience and their own research and their own convictions. They were being hailed as heroes 1 year ago, and now they're being vilified by the same media that hailed them up as heroes. This happens again and again and again. This is where detachment comes in, my nobility. Be detached from the ways of the world, whether it's praise or criticism, because it is indeed temporary. For the same world that hails you up in praise is the same world that can tear you down in judgment. The same world that condemns you is the same world that hails you up. Such is the way of the world. Be prepared. Therefore, focus not upon the praises or the criticism of the world. Focus only upon your performance before God. Stand only in truth. For the criticisms of the world are like those of rebellious children. For the world will hate you one day and then love you the next. Likewise, the rewards, awards, and validations of God are like the handmade clothing of a protective mother that is given to her child to guard against the harsh elements of those rainy and cold seasons. However, the rewards, awards, and validations of the world are like the mass-produced clothing of an impersonal corporation that is sold to you for a price. Such clothing offers only temporary protection against the harsh elements of those rainy and cold seasons, because the clothing manufacturer needs you to keep coming back to purchase clothing. Eventually, such clothing even goes out of style. For the mass-produced clothing of the world impresses only the immature, while the handmade clothing of God impresses only the wise. Choose today the garment ye shall wear. For we have learned that sunny and warm days are followed by cloudy days, which are followed by rainy and stormy days, which return to sunny and warm days. Those who are unaware of the spiritual seasons of life believe that when the storms of life beat upon their circumstances, they are doomed to that situation for the rest of their lives. It seems as if the storm will never end, and in desperation, they make decisions under pressure which force them to make the wrong decisions in life. In the long run, such desperate decisions only prolong their suffering. Attuned hippapas who have acquired the knowledge of life's seasons and cycles occasionally go through the same storms everyone else goes through. However, with an awareness that the storm is always temporary, attuned hippapas remain calm and mentally still, allowing the storm to pass over them. Others without knowledge of life's seasons try to run from the storm, only to wind up running with it. Only to wind up running with it. Even more, people miss valuable opportunities and lessons that can be found in the midst of the storms by running away from the storm. The same applies to the sunny days. Not realizing that everything has a season, the unaware rap fan believes that he is running ahead of the storm when he is actually keeping up with the storm. For when the storms of life beat upon your clothing, it is usually best to remain still and allow the storm to pass you by. The same applies to the sunny days. With difficult people and circumstances, be still. Be on good terms with all people, even if you must be silent in the face of those that disrespect you. Develop the habit of not saying things that you may regret later when the storm of hostility and or depression has passed. Be silent, be still, even with all forms of temptation. Be silent, be still. Allow the storms of these tempting desires to pass over you. Do nothing. When tempted, do nothing. When tempted, my nobility, just do nothing. It's great. It's the greatest thing. I'm going to do nothing. I'm being tempted right now to be angry. I'm going to do absolutely nothing. But know this, only those who wear the handmade clothing of God, purpose, mercy, peace, charity, love, overstanding, truth, discipline, inspiration, wisdom, gratefulness, self-sacrifice, etc., can stand still in the midst of life's storms, changes, and temptations. These are the designer labels of our everlasting God, for only divine clothing can withstand the various storms of life. For when it is sunny and warm, meaning that everything is going your way, such a season is not to be used to relax and indulge in the pleasures of the world. Such a season is always used to prepare for those rainy days. And see right there, that is perseverance, my nobility. Let's read this again because this is perseverance. We'll read 12 again. Keeping in mind perseverance. It's focusing when the times are good and when the times are hard, staying focused, persevering. For when it is sunny and warm, meaning that everything is going your way, such a season is not to be used to relax and indulge in the pleasures of the world. Such a season is always used to prepare for those rainy days, and such preparation is not done in fear. Such a preparation is done with an understanding that all worldly relationships, validations, rewards, and opportunities are indeed temporary. All of them, my nobility. Attuned hip-hoppers preserve their health, love, awareness, and wealth during those sunny and warm seasons in preparation for the inevitable storms changes that come. After a while, the storms do not even affect the attuned hip-hopper's H-law. With wisdom, the attuned hip-hopper sees that it is during those rainy days that people of the world are fed. Here's the key right here, my nobility. For it is through challenges, changes, and disappointments that the people of the world gain wisdom. For it is the storms of life that humble and teach the people of the world. However, spirit beings remain still and protected in the most terrifying and difficult of life's storms. For they are not taught or fed during the stormy seasons or during the sunny seasons. They are taught or fed by an acknowledgement of the truth. Truth which comes to everyone, but is rejected by those who value the world more than they do their own God. That's endurance, my nobility. That's perseverance, my nobility. When we're in the flow of the Spirit, it's not even the sunny or rainy seasons of life that we learn in, because we're committed to truth. We're committed to the freedom of God. And therefore, we're not moved by the fears of the world or the anxieties of the world or the temptations of the world or the threats of the world. We're not moved by that. We're not moved by their mandates. We're not moved by their fear propaganda, their fear porn. We're not moved by their manipulation. We remain still. Be still and know that God is God. Remain still in the storm. Don't do something that you may regret later, because the world wants you to be afraid. The world is gaining wisdom through what's going on right now. But those of us who are spirit beings, we're prepared ahead of time. I was prepared since a little kid for these times we are in. I'm realizing that God's been preparing me my whole life for this time that I'm in, that for this time that we're in right now. Been preparing me for eternity for this moment, preparing you for this moment as well, and preparing you for these times that we are in. Endure. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Seek ye first Hippopia. This is what endurance is. This is where the insurance comes in. This is going to ensure the longevity of life itself, which is our ultimate responsibility, is in the service to life itself. Yes, we're in service to God, but what is God in service to here? God isn't in service to God here on earth. God is in service to life and the unfoldment of life. That's why God sends the Martin Luther Kings, because God is in service to life. God has to speak through a Martin Luther King because life is going in a direction that Martin Luther King has to say, I have a dream. And when Martin Luther King speaks with that vibrational frequency that he spoke with, he was preserving life. My nobility, endure through these times. Don't let them make you afraid of nothing. Adapt, maintain, use the hip-hop site, use your creativity, use your spirit, use your heart of forgiveness, be grateful. Be a loving being with a warm heart. This is how we endure. This is how we persevere. This is how we preserve ourselves, one another. In closing, let's read some wisdom of the Tao Te Ching. Lao Tzu, the Tao Te Ching. Um, we're going to be reading chapter 64 of the Tao Te Ching. And this is probably the most famous quote from Lao Tzu. It's a rough translation, but it's great. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. That's in here. He says that this translation is a little different, but the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, right? Such profound ancient wisdom. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. It's just one step, then another. And if you really want to get Zen with it, it's all the same step. It's all just one step. It's all just one breath. This whole life is just one breath. One breath in to begin, one breath out to leave. With many of the same breath in between. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. It's just the same step over and over and over and over again. It's just the one step. Done thousands of times, but it's still the same step. Still the same walk. It's about endurance. How are you going to walk 1,000 miles without endurance? Put this up here on the screen. Here, look at the Chinese, just how beautiful it is written here. What artwork. What just utterly beautiful artwork of that handwriting. Can you imagine the patience and skill to write that by hand? I know this is probably printed from a book, but yeah, just what wonderful, beautiful, just absolutely beautiful, the craftsmanship of each of these letters, of these words. Let's look at it in English. Paragraph 64 of the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. What is at rest is easy to hold. What manifests no omens is easily forestalled. What is fragile is easily shattered. What is small is easily scattered. Tackle things before they have appeared. That's preparation right there, my nobility. Tackle things before they have appeared. Cultivate peace and order before confusion and disorder have set in. A tree as big as a man's embrace springs from a tiny sprout. A tower 9 stories high begins with a heap of earth. A journey of 1,000 leagues starts where your feet stand. See, that's a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. But this is just so poetic, and a journey of 1,000 leagues. A league is a form of measurement. A journey of 1,000 leagues starts where your feet stand. He who fusses over anything spoils it. He who grasps anything loses it. The sage fusses over nothing and therefore spoils nothing. He grips at nothing and therefore loses nothing. In handling affairs, people often spoil them just at the point of success. With heedfulness in the beginning and patience at the end, nothing will be spoiled. Let's read that again, my nobility. Look at that. How often does this happen? In handling affairs, people often spoil them just at the point of success. We've done it. We know people who've done it. So this is the antidote. With heedfulness in the beginning and patience at the end, nothing will be spoiled. That is endurance. That is perseverance. Therefore, the sage desires to be desireless, sets no value on rare goods, learns to unlearn his learning, and induces the masses to return from where they have overpassed. That's sin. The sage induces the masses to return from where they have overpassed. The sin just means to overstep one's boundaries, to overstep boundaries. That's the overpass. And induce the masses to return from where they have overpassed. He only helps all creatures to find their own nature, but does not venture to lead them by the nose. That's the way of the sage. That's the way of the Tao, to gently lead. And we can gently lead ourselves into preparation. We're at peace before the confusion arrives, before the calamity arrives. That's what martial arts training is all about. You train to fight before something actually happens. Like, oh, I'm trained to fight. And you know what? It's like I've always said, once I was trained how to fight and learn self-defense, I never got in fights after that. I got in a lot of fights before that. So something involved me. I like to fight, I like to fight. I've gotten in, I've gotten in a couple since then, but the martial arts helped me to nullify the situation with nobody really getting hurt in a couple instances. Minister Zin Uru out on the road. My younger years. But I was glad, because I was, we were partying and gin and juice was flowing. The blunts were being smoked, and some dude lost his mind and just fucking attacked me, and I put him down so quick and so effortlessly, and it happened so fast. Now I could have been prepared to do that at that moment if I hadn't prepared my way before, right? He was a lot bigger than me, younger than me, and but I had no issue at all. It was so easy. I put him down and nullified him so quickly. And I took the fight out of him so quickly, and neither of us got injured. But had I not spent hours and hours and hours and hours and days and days and days in my younger years practicing jiu-jitsu, that wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have been a peaceful solution. We could have just been pounding on each other and scratching and biting and clawing and kicking the shit out of each other, But it didn't happen because I've been trained in a way that in just that circumstance, I happened to have the right training for that moment. I don't invite that in my life. I was like, yo, bro, chill. It's okay. I had my hands up. I was like, yo, bro, it's okay, man. I was smiling. I was like, what's going on? Why are you all mad? And I guess he was just fed up with me. It happens. Oh yeah, but that was the preparation, right? That's the endurance. Like I had to endure through that moment. I had to persevere through that moment until it was a peaceful outcome, which was I saw. Because the only, self-defense, the goal is peace at the end of it. But you also, somebody's coming at you, you're not going to let them hurt you or your family. You want to defend yourself. But that preparation, those hours just went into just a few minutes of time. The whole altercation probably lasted 8 minutes, 7 minutes, and the fight only lasted a matter of 20, if even that, maybe 10 seconds of actual fight because he came at me and threw it at me. I put him on the ground, locked him up, and had him in a very compromised position where he didn't want any more pressure put on him, and the fight was over. And I was able to calmly talk to him face to face and work it out in that way. So, doing the preparation to be prepared for the seasons. When it's sunny and warm, that's in my youth. That was the summer of my youth when I was, instead of, doing other things, I was practicing jiu-jitsu. I needed to practice it. And, and like I said, it helped me with my temper and things like that too. I became a better, more wiser, more composed man. And, but that was the sunny days. And when the storm hit, which was the fight, I was prepared for the fight. Same thing with anything that we do in life. Be prepared now. Are you prepared for the days to come? Because endurance is insurance. And the perseverance depends. Your level of perseverance depends upon where you are at right now and making yourself stronger. I see that my battery's about to run out. So hopefully we got just a couple more minutes. If it blacks out, that was the end. Good night. Hip! But we're going to get a real hip at the end of this. My nobility. Take your life seriously. You've got to take your life more seriously than you've ever taken it. You've got to take your life more seriously than anybody you have ever known has taken their life. You've got to take life seriously. I'm watching my nobility and they are not taking their life seriously. I'm getting on the phone with them and it's like I'm hearing crickets chirping when we're talking about the seriousness of life. Like my nobility, wake the fuck up to the reality of what's happening right now. We don't have time to waste, okay? We don't have time to waste. We have to endure past what is happening in the world, and we're going to see the new earth as we're already living in the new earth. We're already living in it. I'm already living in Hippopia. So it's already here. It's already happening. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Be the light of your world, my nobility. Be the empowerment of your world. Be the strength of your world, and prepare your world for the endurance. Get your kids ready. Have your disaster kit ready. Have your supplies ready. Have your routes ready. Have whatever it is you need to have ready. And be ready. Are you prepared for the days to come? Because endurance is insurance. And persevere, my nobility. Peace and so much love to you. And there it is. Yeah! Woo!